Sharks in the pool, that is not cool. I need the tools, take me to school. Feet first into this league, me first, that cannot be. Under the underdog, Monica G. Feeling a whole lot better suddenly. I get in with it, winning again. You're 1 and 2 in the bag, and I'm going for 3. That is the beat down. God of the best, so I keep. Now, y'all treading water for weeks. Now I'm the shark, so I eat. Now, look, I am not sorry. I understood the pump from which I started. And navigating these drafts is cathartic. So, thanks for the invite to party, yeah. Dynasty Underdog, bite down. Up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now. Dynasty Underdog, bite down. Up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 133 of Dynasty Underdog. I'm your host, Jeriah Dawkins. Joining me tonight, Billy Beeman, and welcome back, Josh Goldberg.
Yo. My bad, I'm cheesing because I'm just excited about the Discord, man. Everybody's just popping off in there, sending links for the stream. I love it.
Yeah, it's been pretty lit lately, so get in there.
What's up, Josh, though? Happy to have you back, man. You're on mute.
And of course we can't hear Josh.
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Shit had to go wrong. No, happy to be back, guys. Work the first quarter of the year is always a little hectic for me, so I've taken a couple weeks off here and there, but back and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent. We'll top into some news and nonsense. So there's not a ton, of course, this time of year. Free agency's coming up and all that stuff. Franchise tag is open, but Aaron Jones restructured his contract with the Packers, so he'll be coming back for another season. How do you guys feel about that? Is that somebody that what I think this opens up is when you could buy a cheap vet, probably just for some production? Does that interest you at all?
I mean, a little bit, but I feel in the bigger grand scheme of things, they did this to be able to trade him during the season without having such a big cap implementation.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw him. I'm just looking actually at the Discord right now. David sent that startup that he's in, and he got Aaron Jones in round 10. And we could probably look at our draft right now and see exactly where it was. It was probably something, maybe even later in ours. But I don't know. I'm not too excited about it. I know he has the receiving upside, but if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, that's a major red flag. So, I mean, maybe we believe in Jordan Love. Maybe it's okay, but he's up there in age. And again, maybe less miles on him than most. It'll probably be okay for a year or two. And that value is not bad, especially if you're a contending team. But I'm not really looking to buy him or anything. I'm not excited because they restructured him and are keeping him there. I think this is probably the best case scenario, him staying where he's been. But again, I think it's kind of status quo and he's a declining back. So I'm not trying to jump in.
Yeah. I guess real quickly, and we don't have to talk about it too long, but I was thinking that right now would probably be cheaper than say he goes out and he's having a top 15 to 20 type season. And if you're a contender, you're going to be a contender come, right before the playoffs. He's going to be more expensive than he is right now. So I was wondering if that's a gamble you would be willing to take.
I mean, I'd be selling him because I think his value got a little boost with this news.
Sure.
People feel it's comfortable. So right now I'd be selling him, not buying him.
Okay.
I'm with you, with Josh on that. Yep.
All right. So franchise tag season. All reports are that Tony Pollard is probably going to end up getting franchised. Does this change your view of him as an asset at all in Dynasty?
Nope.
Yeah, this is like that. This is kind of what. Yeah, this is what we expected of Pollard.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm a little surprised that people aren't as worried about the injury and coming back from that with his age and everything. But I guess for this year, it's going to be a similar backfield, I think, going into this year with Zeke and Pollard. I think it's going to be tough to get out of the Zeke deal for them. But, either way, I think it's kind of just going to be more of the same, which isn't great for Zeke and is good for Pollard. So I think if he's there, it's good.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm concerned about the injury, and it seems like such a Cowboys thing to do to what do they call it, Captain Save a Ho, go out there and we'll sign the injured guy.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That worked out great for Michael Gallup, right? Anyway,
well, it's like I just want to say, like, the reason I think it's better for Pollard if he stays is because he's probably going to be in a timeshare, which is where we want Pollard because we want him to stay fresh. Like if he's going to go somewhere and be the lead back, I think I'm going to be a little concerned because that was the coach's concern in Dallas, and not that the injury is proof of that, but coming off the injury with his age, going into a lead role is not something I would love. So I think I'd prefer him being where he's at. Zeke is just Zeke at this point. So
hey, I'm not hating where I got him in our listener.
Yeah,
I'm not hating where I got him in our listener league.
Yeah, he'll probably have 500 yards and 12 touchdowns. But
yeah, I'm fine with that. Hey, he's the new Frank Gore. Yeah. All right,
the new Frank Gore. No, that's disrespectful to Frank Gore. I feel like
Zeke's had a really good career. Everyone wants to trash on him, but like he's
fine here, but
studly. Yeah.
Frank Gore at like 40 was much more lively than Zeke at whatever 27 he is right now.
That's disrespectful.
Jake, I like how we're the choice of viewing for your cooking.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
love it.
Cool. Last one is with the whole San Francisco. I see SF whenever like I'm going through this stuff, and I admit like immediately my brain says Superflex. So it's really hard for me to like go San Fran, but all the San Fran quarterback situation is just so muddy. But Purdy's surgery is getting postponed.
Yeah,
we've talked about this probably every week for like the last month, but like Trey Lance is going to get the first crack at this, right? Still,
no, I really don't think so.
Right.
I really don't think so.
God,
I mean, I think if they had their choice, it would be Brock Purdy, to be honest with you, like getting the first crack at it. Yeah. I do think that's what they would like to do, but they're postponing this due to swelling. He's not going to get the surgery until March now. So is he going to be ready for training camp? Like, is he going to be ready to go? I don't think so. So I think Trey Lance by default is going to get the go. But I don't think that means Purdy's like completely out in San Francisco. I think his best chance is in San Francisco. If he gets moved or something, that's just worrisome to me, unless it's to a spot that is like completely barren of quarterback. But I don't think that's even a thing. I think his best chance is to come back healthy, prove himself in practice and training camp, whatever it is, and get back on the field. It's a little scary for sure if you're believing in Purdy or trusting in Purdy, but yeah.
It's a gamble.
Cool. So there's a couple different things under this topic, but I want to talk about rookie pick versus vet pick in startups because we're going through the startup in TU3 right now. And I didn't take a lot of picks. I just kind of like eyeballed it, was looking at like, okay, here's, 4 players at ADP right now. And would I be willing to buy or sell them for what rookie pick is left on the board? I was just wondering, like, how do you guys decide? Like, how do you guys decide when to take a pick over a player? I'll be right back.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to hear my answer. That's great.
Nope. No, he does not.
No, I'm totally joking.
He's heard enough of you.
Yeah, enough of me. Yeah. So I think for me, like a big part of the way that I'm deciding where to do that and when to do that, like I really got my personal rankings into shape before this draft. I think that's the best way for me to like visualize where the rookie picks kind of lie. And then it's obviously, I'm not going by the ranks like, oh, I put the rookie pick right before this guy. I think it's a little bit more dynamic than that, especially with the kind of build you're trying to do. Like I've talked about this with rankings. I think that their rankings are kind of annoying because they're useful, but you can't just like live and breathe by them or live and die by them. But again, for me, it's like a good way to find like a range of where I think the rookie pick should go. And then like in DU3, like the way my team was built, I felt like I had to kind of lean into the youth after a while. And so I kind of forego certain veterans who may score points this year, maybe next year, but likely are going to fade out either before or after that. And I went for rookie pick. So for me, it's just like a calculated decision based on, the range I'm in, which rookie picks I think should go there. And then I'm kind of deciding based on my team build, like, does this make sense to even go for a vet here who I'm going to try to be replacing anyway? Or should I go for a pick that's a little bit more liquid, right, between now and the draft? And also I could hit on, a guy who is going to last much longer and have more value longer.
Yeah, for me, it really comes down to the pick itself because certain picks I know I want either position A or position B. And if neither of those positions are there with a good player that I feel could produce for me, I'd rather go rookie pick and make that gamble. But again, like Billy said, it's all about roster construction also. Going into the DU draft, which we'll talk about in a little while, I made my first two picks, and then the third pick, I didn't have a quarterback, and no other quarterback, in my opinion, was worth being drafted there. So I went for the rookie 102. I'd rather make that gamble on a young rookie quarterback probably versus another position. But at the same time, it's building my team. I'm not going to live or die by, let's say, Rodgers or something, just picking him there when I know he'll be out of the league either this year or next year, more likely. We're building for the future, especially in a startup draft like this. You don't want to only pick one or two of your rental players.
Cool. Yeah, I found myself, not picking. I didn't have any first round rookie picks in the startup draft because I was really just trying to fill out a starting roster with all players who are going to be in my lineup, right? And I kept running into that, like, okay, this guy's definitely going to score points, but eventually I'm like, I want to have fun and do the rookie draft too. So I busted out. I mean, it's true.
You're right.
I like that motivation for getting in there.
I have a couple guys, and it's fun, right? At the end of the day, this should be fun too. So I did bust out just DTC and was like, okay, I have like these 4 players that I'm looking to draft, and like, what's the current rookie pick and what's the value there? And once it got to where like the value was for the pick was about double or so what was available, that's when I was like, okay, well, this makes sense for me value wise. I already have a starting squad, so I was just wondering if any of you guys did anything like that.
No, that's an interesting way to do it for sure. I mean, honestly, I was considering the 101 at pick 201 or whatever, like at literally my second pick.
Second round, yeah.
So, I think it kind of, and I'll just kind of get into my point about this that I think needs to be stated, that I think was really evident from this draft. Like, we are in a transition period. Like, the current landscape of startup drafts right now is completely different than it was a year or 2 years, especially 2 years ago, where a lot of these guys, like you're seeing Mike Evans, Kamara's, all fall past round 10. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, guys that you would see go much earlier, falling much, much later. And I was saying to, I think, Uriah and Josh, how in DU2 last year, certain rookie picks weren't even taken off the board. And this year, almost every rookie pick is taken. And it was only like certain 4th round picks last year, but this year, all 4th round picks are taken over certain guys. Like a Chase Edmonds is, I think, still sitting on the board in this draft, which go ahead, feel free to take him if you're listening live. But I mean, I'm saying
here's
guys who were, guys who were picked like in the 6th round of rookie draft or of drafts last year are now falling, completely out. So I think we're in a transition period, right, where like all the running backs are completely being faded. Jonathan Taylor went like 211 in this draft. Yeah. I'm doing a mock draft with DFF. He went 213, and it's because it's a 14 team mock. I mean, rookie picks are just more valuable right now. A lot of them are much more valuable than the players you could be selecting, and you could trade those rookie picks for, multiple players down the road. So I think that was a bit of the motivation when I was looking at it too. I was like, well, I think I'm getting the more valuable asset at this point anyway, looking at the current landscape of Dynasty and how all these players are being valued right now.
Cool. And what's this with the trade up from post round 12?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I kind of like this idea.
No, this is what I realized from this draft as well. Again, like I'm looking at this draft and I'm realizing that after about round 10, 11, 12, I don't want any other players. Yeah. Really, right? I would rather, if I realized this a little earlier, and I did try to kind of do this, I tried to gauge where I wanted to jump into by looking at my rankings and kind of looking at the early board. But I think I misjudged it a little bit. I did get one deal done and jumped up and got, I think, the rookie 110 or 12, where I think the likes of like Henry, and then it just kind of like fell off, Derrick Henry. And then like there was like Alvin Kamara was left in those players. So it just kind of fell off there where I realized I'm like, holy crap, like this year, if you're going into a startup, trade all of your, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8. Like I'm talking about make package deals where you can get up into round you probably won't get above round 8, I'd say, with those picks, but like around 8, 9, 10, like jump into those rounds if you can and just grab players and picks there, because that's where all the value is going to fall off with these rookies, with the second-year players. Like, they're all going in this range, and it kind of becomes barren or a barren wasteland, or just players like Kamara, guys who are massive risks, right? Mm-hmm. So personally, I'd rather jump in earlier, trade up earlier. And if you have the advantage of listening to this before you even go into one, most people probably aren't even thinking that, a lot of people trade back and they're like, oh, I'll get a bunch of players back. This is not the year, in my opinion, to trade back. It's just not.
Yeah. I got a couple of different offers. I mean, some from you guys where, they're trying to trade up to like my 12th round pick or something. And I get
Elijah Moore. You got Elijah Moore. That's what I was trying to trade up for.
You get like a 16, 17, and a 20 or something. I'm like, I'm feeling it right now that this is falling off quick, and I'm just going to take my pick. I didn't make one single move in the whole startup draft. So I love that though. If you could do that, that's something you want to try to do early on, I think, because I think once you get down to where everyone else is starting to feel like it's getting thin, then they're not really going to be excited. Hey, I got an extra pick later. But I knew that I didn't want to be sitting there with like 3 20-round picks. Like I'm going to be dropping most of these guys as it is come up to the rookie draft. So I think that's really good. I think that's a good strategy that you need to think about early on.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm looking at the second half of the draft, my picks right now from the DU3 league. And honestly, I think I got from round 16 on, I think I have 2 picks I'm happy with. The rest were just players.
Yeah, no, I feel that it got gross real fast where you were just like, is there anything I can do here to salvage this pick?
and then I'm going for like high up. No, then I was going for like high upside youth like Chenault and stuff in the 20th. Like, he might honestly have a chance. I
mean, that's not terrible for sure, but I'd almost rather take a rookie pick. Like, that's what I've been doing, just taking a bunch of rookie picks. But
yeah,
I think, to Uriah's point, that strategy is not going to work if you're in round 8. Like, people are going to realize
it's too late.
That's why this draft, I was able to make one move where I was able to move up, and it was a little bit earlier than I realized what was really happening. And I was like, oh shit, I should have done more of this when I did that. But yeah, do this. Like, you're getting into a startup, your draft hasn't started, literally just start sending out these offers like before the draft even gets going. Just fire off. I'm not kidding. I would fire off like round 13, 14, 15, or 14, 15, 16 for round 10 and
8
or something. Yeah, if you can get, I mean, please, if you can do it, probably shoot for the moon. But I think I would be willing to go into around 9, 10 area. That's where things really seem to kind of drop. But
no, you got to do it. You got to do it now before anybody realizes anything.
Yeah. We see Joe said here the changing of the guard for every position except tight end, of course, has been completed. I think, yeah, true. Kyle Pitts has definitely not made it happen yet. And I don't know if he will, but I think that there's still some room for more change, especially at running back. I think that's coming. Yeah.
I think next year drafting the running backs that we're taking, it's going to be so if you could feel it now, you could really feel it now. That next year is going to be so different because we have some pretty decent running back talent going to be coming in, fresh blood, and you're going to see guys like Zeke, Kamara, Henry, maybe not even getting drafted, right? So cool. Since we did the Dynasty Underdog Listener League 3 startup, we're almost done. I think we're in the final round. Do you guys want to talk about our teams a little bit because that's fun?
Yeah, let's do it. I was going to ask you guys in picks. Since we were just talking about later round picks, pick 10 and down, who were your 2 biggest surprises you say you were able to draft at the positioning?
Oh, all right. Hold on before I go get my water. Let me see. 10 and down. I have it right here. Okay. Okay. I mean, for me, honestly, like this isn't even a really good one, but 1208 at this point, Alvin Kamara, I feel like I just couldn't let him go any further. You're seeing Kadarius Toney go before him, rookie pick 208, Trey McBride, who I knew you were going to get. I was going to snag him at the pick before where I got 207, but I figured I could maybe re-roll and get something better there. But yeah, I think Alvin Kamara at 12.08 right before Gabriel Davis, Desmond Ridder, Nico Collins, like that group right there. I could have taken Elijah Moore. I could have taken Sky Moore, but I just felt like with my team build, I could possibly utilize him if he only gets like a 6 or 8 game suspension. And then if he does go into next year, if he doesn't like get blackballed from the league or something, then I think he still has a little bit left in him. So I think that was the one I was most surprised about for myself.
Yeah, for me, this is actually like my last stretch of like feel good picks. Like, okay, got it, nailed it. Okay, got it. Glad he was there. Going from 10th round, 1005, I got Aaron Rodgers, which this is super flex. I think I ended up with like 4 or 5 quarterbacks, not on purpose, but like they kept falling. I think he's going to play this year.
Yeah.
He's probably going to play next year. Like, I don't see him going anywhere. So Aaron Rodgers at the 1005. Mike Evans, 1108. All he does is like put up 1,000 yards every year. Like, shouldn't be going in the 11th round, late 11th round, in my opinion. Trey McBride, my boy. And with 1308, I got Elijah Moore. And then I finished off at the 14th round with Tannehill, which I'm not so excited about, but like he might start. I think that was a pretty good, solid stretch of run from value from round 10 to round 14.
Yeah. For me, I would have to say at 1802, Jake Ferguson.
Yes. When I saw that, I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
And then it's a toss-up, but for 2110, last pick of the draft for me, Paris Campbell.
No, that was actually a great pick. He's 25 years old, I think, and he had a pretty good year last year. They got a quarterback, and I don't know. Even if they don't get a quarterback, I think he could be a guy who moves around the league and is just like a wide receiver 3 kind of guy. So he definitely could be a flex option for you that you got in the 20th round. Yeah, no, I love that.
I did want to ask you guys really quick. At 1002, I took Cam Akers.
I don't like that.
No, honestly, like I took him because, in my opinion, he was one of the only running backs there that possibly could have a starting job.
I do like it. He looked a little bit better towards the end of the season, and I mean, probably
David Montgomery went after him. I'd prefer David Montgomery.
Ouch. Yeah. Okay. The Rams will probably screw it up and like draft a running back, and then Cam Akers will never see the field. But I mean, for a guy you think has a really good shot at being like the lead in a committee in the 10th round is pretty good, especially for a guy with that age. But some of the stuff that went on with Cam Akers last year, the butting heads with Sean McVay and all that other stuff is a little worrisome. But I mean, if he just plays and is that dude and he finishes top 20 or something, like that's really good value. So
he's also my RB3. So if he was top 2, I definitely would not have pulled the trigger on him. But as number 3, I felt it was a little bit of a safer hedge bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have two more. Gardner Minshew, 1710.
I'm kind of
surprised. I'm just kind of surprised that he didn't get selected earlier. Like, he's the backup to a guy who got injured this year. He played this year, and he's probably one of the best, if not the best backup in the league. So he could easily fall into a starting job somewhere else. So I think that's a good one. And then Hunter Long at 1912. I know he hasn't done a single thing, but tight ends take a while to develop. 3rd round draft capital on the guy. Mike Gesicki leaving the team most likely this year. I don't know, man. Like, I think that he could end up possibly being something. I mean, even if it's like just, a back end kind of weekly, plug and play, then yeah. I just think that he's a guy who could be drafted.
He's a good dart throw.
Yeah. And I like taking those tight ends, at that point in the draft. Like all your stud running backs are gone. Wide receivers that you're going to actually start are gone. I like taking the shot on those tight ends because you just don't know. Like most of the really good tight ends have like started off slow. That's just the way it's been. So you never know like if you're going to get lucky and get that guy. And Hunter Long could be that guy. So round 19 is pretty sweet.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So a couple more things just kind of since we've been drafting. It's funny, like this is a pretty enthusiastic group of drafters. Like
it's been great.
We got through this draft in like every bit of a week and a half, 2 weeks.
About it. Everybody's been super active. It's honestly been great.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yo, if any DU2 listeners are here, like get on it. Like I don't know what's going on. Y'all need to get some energy into that league. Like there's people aren't responding to some trades and just die out after like 2 weeks. I can't. That's just not what I want to see. But back to this listener league. This was a ton of fun. And so it made me think of some stuff though, because I noticed some people not pre-selecting, right? Like in MFL, you can pre-select, like in what sleeper, you can auto pick whatever, and you can set up your queue, but it actually sucks and doesn't work all the time. But not that MFLs is a great system either for pre-selecting. Let's be honest. But I thought it was an interesting topic because we obviously are tagging folks that they're on the clock and stuff, and trying to, because I do think that you want to keep a draft going, and Jake said it was a single week maybe, but I think you obviously want to keep some focus on the draft. You don't want it to get stale and people just to forget about it and get like kind of bored of it. So that's obviously part of like keeping it moving, keeping people notice like, yo, you're on the clock, you don't need to take all 8 hours. But some people were like, oh, you could pre-select, but I think there is a disadvantage to pre-selecting, right? Like you can miss out on trade offers if you're pre-selecting, right? You can do so. I think it's just one of those things where I know everybody wants to keep the draft moving, but it was one of those things where I noticed certain people weren't doing it, and then I noticed who they were, and I was like, because you want to make a trade. I know what it is. So it's just something to think about when you're trying to kind of push these things along. I wanted to keep moving as much as anybody else, but that's just one thing I thought of. So, with pre-selecting, I wouldn't force it upon people. Just be respectful with that stuff.
Yeah, especially when you have an 8-hour clock and people all over the world. You really got to have the patience there.
Yeah.
I realize this. Sorry, I think every one of our leagues has somebody from Australia, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
That's awesome.
It's cool. They say the C word a lot, so that always makes the chat fun.
Yeah, it's just, I really wish that was part. Here. I wish that was part of our vocabulary, honestly. In the States, I mean, but it sounds so much better with the accent. So much more flavor on it.
It really does.
It's not as.
But yeah, I mean, there's an 8-hour clock there. Whenever I try my best, like take my pick, see who's after me, and then tag them. Hey, you're on the clock, and then just tell them no rush. Like take your time. Just letting you know.
I tell them to make it happen, Captain. Get it done.
I know. I saw you. You're just like
you got to keep the energy up, man.
Honestly,
it's a good dichotomy.
It's more time for me to set a pre-draft because then I'm like, okay, there's 6 picks coming up, so I got to select at least 7 players. Like now, how do I rank them? It's like I'll figure it out when I'm on the clock, and I think it actually is probably just more, maybe not quicker for the whole draft, but quicker for me personally. I'm easier to. Okay, it's my turn. Who's left? And like, okay, my turn's coming up. Like, how do I rank these guys? And I didn't even think about the part where you can miss out on a trade offer. So that's an important one too. That's why we have really long clocks, so you could kind of work out trades in the first place.
Well, it gives you much more of that like manager feel where like you like nobody's pre-selecting in a real draft, So anyway, you get to like actually go through all the mechanics of like drafting and like talking to trade partners and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's been a great draft. Shout out to the DU3 crew. I know it's going to be a really, really good league going forward because the energy is there. The enthusiasm is there.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man, we're really cruising through this, but let's hop into some trades and non-trades. Most of my leagues are pretty dead. How about yours? As far as like activity goes, like there's not a ton of talking, and definitely like there's no trading going on right now.
Yeah.
Especially in Dynasty leagues where we do this year round. I feel the period between the Super Bowl and the Combine is kind of normally a dead period.
Yeah.
Definitely. I get it. I mean, I got really crappy offer from Will Dennison. I'll tell you that. Like, I mean, like an offer so terrible. I feel like he didn't realize who he was sending it to. I'm not sure.
I mean, Billy, you're talking only to Uriah and I here. What was the trade offer? There's nobody else listening at all. There's nobody else listening.
It might even be still pending. I could see. I don't even think I think it was so disrespectful. I didn't even go and do anything about it. But it was like Rodgers for Dak, and let me see. Let me go. Stupid fucking. Oh, sorry. Let me go and see my team trades. Yeah, okay. He tried to send me Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, Travis Kelce for Dak Prescott, Saquon Barkley, and Mark Andrews, and I will kindly decline that right now.
Decline.
And I won't even give him my normal comment, which is usually like, that is absolutely disgusting. Don't send that to me again. Yeah. So no, not great.
he gets these trades done with other people, like, and that's why he's a good player. But it's cool. I do have a trade. It's actually a non-trade here. And hey, man, shout out again to Will Dennison. I will put him on blast here. This is from him. Lovely guy. But yeah, he sent me Dak. He sent me his Aaron Rodgers and Kamara for Dak and Pittman. And I also declined. But yeah, how do you guys feel about that?
Sorry, I was looking at the comment.
Yeah. How quickly could you push to decline?
Right away, yeah.
Oh, so he sent you the same offer? Yeah, he was.
It's pretty much when you were saying, it was Rodgers and something for Dak and something. I'm like, oh, yeah. I see where he was trying to go with this because it's a Console Wars 3-copy league, so you could send an offer for the same player with three different owners. So, I mean, I don't hate the hustle, but
I hate the offer.
Me. Yes, I hate the offer.
I mean, listen, do you? But I'm not gonna. No, thank you for that. What is Joe talking about here? Have you guys tried the auto accept trade block? Have gotten a couple trades. Have gotten a couple done in safe leagues last couple of weeks. I feel like that's got to be a joke.
What?
Auto accept trade block?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Joe, let us know what the hell that is.
I'm gonna go with a joke, but yeah, keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Oh my god.
Maybe that's on Sleeper or something.
No, it's not Sleeper. I'll tell you that for sure.
Auto accept trade block. Just listen to that. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, have you put on your auto accept for the?
I'll accept anything you send me. All right.
Love it. All right, so this one came through the Discord. This trade, 107, 210, 309 for Debo plus Tony. This was Dan Morrison, I believe, of DU1 of Nitro Fantasy, NFS Fantasy. Yeah, what do you guys think? 107, 210, 309 Debo for Debo and Tony.
I mean, personally, I want the pick side of that deal.
Man, I mean, I might gamble on taking Debo and Tony there. Giving up the 107 right now, this time of year and stuff, always just feels so hard to do. But sometimes you got to do it. I wish I had seen more from Tony to really make this move. There's a lot of hope that they're going to figure it out with Tony, and he has looked pretty good with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes there, and they're trying to find ways to make him a player. I mean, he went from the Giants, basically inactive because they couldn't figure out how to manage him, and then you get into an actual stable organization like the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're actually able to use him and make him a valuable player on the field and literally help them win a Super Bowl. So if you can see that progress to the next year, this is smash, but there's some hesitance with Tony there. Tony's a player I do want to try to go out and get. He was a player I tried to go out and get last year. But giving up that 107 this time of year is hard, and it's going to get harder as it gets closer to our rookie draft. So I think it's fair. Let's put it that way. I think it's fair.
What about you, B? What side do you want?
I like it. I like the Debo side of this. I mean, I understand the allure of the 107, but the way I think about it is 107 for Debo straight up, and then 210, 309 for Tony. That works for me. Yeah, it's probably pretty fair, but I do think that it's a pretty good. Uriah slamming the Giants for no reason.
There's a reason.
That's hilarious. Oh
man, hey, the show with the comments is so much better.
It really is. We love that everybody's getting involved and watching and writing it.
It's great. It's great. So yeah, I'm on the Debo side of this. Honestly, I think either way, I think you could probably get more for him in season than whatever the value of the 107 is right now. You could probably enhance that down the road. He's 27. I think he's still got a couple years left in him. And plus Tony, I kind of like what I saw from Tony, man. Even if they try to boost the wide receiver core, I don't know how much they can do really in KC, but add one really good player. If they add a couple, I think Tony still probably is ahead of the pack there. So I like what he did here. I like it.
Cool. I'm going to expand my screen here a little bit.
Real quick. I think what Joe is saying, and he said he's going to send something to the Discord, but I'm wondering if what it is if you put a comment along with your trade block, like we've suggested in the past, like what you'll accept for somebody, and then that you'll just like accept that exactly if they send it. And I think he's saying like he's gotten deals done like that. Maybe I may be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm reading into it, and love the idea.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, totally love that idea. We've suggested it, we've used it if that's the case, and it's worked before. I have found, sometimes some leagues it doesn't work, but most leagues it works well.
Yeah, we've seen it. I think the first time was I think he's in DU3 now with us, AJ, right? The guy who does the graphics for us on MFL. He was the first person I see use it in Console Wars, where he had a bunch of like down roster guys, and he listed out specifically, like I don't know, 5 players and specific picks or pick ranges, and he's like, I will accept it if you send it to me like that. Or I've seen where people are like, I will give Zeke for any second. Just send me a second and he's yours. So yeah, okay. Auto accept. I see that. I've seen
strategy.
It work.
Great strategy. I love it, especially when it's like you're ready to move on from something, and you're like, I will take any second. Like I just said, it works. That tends to work out a lot better than if you're like, I want this specific player in this range. Like if you do something like that, you usually get it done. But yeah, I enjoy that strategy. I've implemented it usually in the off season. I feel like, or towards this time of year, it doesn't matter what you do in the trade bait. People just got to kind of have their own internal motivation to get on there and trade. But during the season, when people are paying attention, that works a lot. It works really well.
Cool. So continuing our prospect profiles, we did a couple of running backs the last couple of weeks. And then this week I just said, hey, let's try Jordan Addison. And the guys approved. So let's talk about Jordan Addison. Let's see here. Jordan Addison, 21 years old, played 3 years in college. First 2 years were at Pittsburgh. His sophomore season was just something pretty special. 100 receptions on 145 targets for almost 1,600 yards. Target share of 26.8. His entire career was right around 20% target share, except for his last year. He only played, he played 11 games, whatever. Catch rate, always above 67%. One of the biggest things that stood out in the sheet, something that Peter Howard has talked about before, is that he's had over 2 yards per route run every single year of his career. That kind of puts him in a bucket with a high percentage chance that he finishes as a top 24 wide receiver at some point in his career, which I absolutely love. One of the things that I want to knock on him, which maybe after what we've seen with Devontae Smith, like I shouldn't do so much, but he's a pretty slight player. He's 6 foot. He's listed as 6 foot 170, and that's probably pretty accurate. If he comes in and weighs much more or is any higher, I would be kind of shocked. He is slight, but he's really, really good. On the sheets, pretty much everything sticks out as top 3, top 4 wide receiver in this class. You look at yards after contact per attempt. That's another thing when it's talking about him being slight. He has like 3 to 4.25 yards after contact per attempt. So with a guy that slight, you're like, well, he's going to go down at first contact. But if you look at that number compared to all the other guys in the class, like he's top 3. So I really just don't have that concern with him. Like I don't watch him on tape. I didn't see any film or any highlights, so I don't really know what that looks like. I could tell you is what it looks like on the numbers, and it looks like it's not at all going to be a problem. One of the easier stats to kind of look at for college production and go to NFL production year after year is just straight up points per game. And if you go to age-adjusted points per game, that puts him, again, 4th in the class, just behind guys like Josh Downs, JSN, and Jalen Hyatt. His ADOT is over 10 for his career, so he's not just like this short yardage, shifty type of guy. He probably, Billy will talk to it, he's probably a pretty good route runner. Based on the numbers on the sheets, it looks like he's able to at least get open probably against zone very easily and get himself open. So everything I see on the sheets, I absolutely love. Early on, I would say he's probably going to be the top 3 wide receiver out of this class for me, just based on the numbers I have. What do you got, Billy?
I mean, I think he missed one of the biggest accolades where he turned Kenny Pickett into a first-round pick.
Oh, but I didn't think about that.
It's
I didn't even think about that.
No, I'm giving a little too much credit to him there.
No, that's good.
Probably. He went to USC, and I don't think he performed nearly as well as he did at
He
Pitt.
did.
Is that inaccurate?
Nope, that's
No, that's accurate. He a yard less per reception and 9 fewer touchdowns.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
probably
his
a little
sophomore
bit.
season is just tits.
One for the Bucks. I mean, he was number
Yeah,
one in
very,
the ACC, number 4 overall in the NCAA, and 1 All-American. So
It's
But
just
still, yeah,
he goes
early
to
declare,
he goes.
early breakout, all that stuff. So
You know, I mean, I'm going to talk to his film here, which was actually by and large pretty good. But it's interesting to me that he went to what's likely a tougher conference and didn't perform as well. We put it all on him with, you know, making Pickett a guy, but then he doesn't perform as well in another situation with a different QB. So I'm not sure what that exactly means for him, but I'll dive into the film. So he's an exceptional route runner, really. He might be my highest rated in the class so far. Yeah, he is. He is matched with JSN as the highest in the class so far. So he has a great ability to sell the pacing during a route, like slow down for a comeback and out and burst upfield to escape a defender for a deeper route. So he exhibits the quick release with suddenness and intent, right? So he has a plan coming off of the line, and he kind of knows what he's trying to do. He has those quick feet to get away from a defender at the line. Sharp route runner with above average acceleration shown in his release. He does a good job using leverage and setting up defenders. Like there's a good one against Oregon State, right? He leans out and upfield showing deep route, then hits a rocker move to an inside slant, right? So he's got a lot of nuance in his game. And again, he has a plan, right? So he's going to kind of set up defenders, try to make them go one direction, and then kind of, you know, go a different direction himself and get open. And I do plan on doing a video for this, so a lot of this stuff I'll show in that as well. He does a good job of kind of using the spacing on the sideline, right? And able to kind of turn defenders' hips around and then separate off of those sharp moves. So he does this against Stanford, Oregon. Like these are some of the ones I saw him against. One thing I do think he struggles with, and you'll probably hear anybody who talks about him say this, is he has trouble with press, right? And this probably is because he's a smaller guy. He's 6'1", 170. And there was a game, I forgot which one it was, and it might have been Stanford, where he literally just couldn't, like anytime they pressed him, it was just shut down. Like he couldn't do anything. They get their hands on him and he just can't get off. He just can't get around them. He's just not strong enough right now. And maybe that can be worked on, right? That can be developed as he gets in the NFL. He doesn't have a small frame necessarily. He's just a smaller guy. Like he's 6'1". He could add some strength, rather, not weight, just some strength, right? He just needs to get a little stronger, but it's a problem right now. So one thing that you said that I got to go back and look at now. So I got to go watch a couple more games and see where I missed this, but he can create for himself a bit nice. I literally say this in my notes. He can still create for himself with some good lateral quickness, but I think he lacks big play yak ability. I just think he's often taken down by initial tackles. Now, I don't know if he has a bunch of big plays where, like, you know, he just got away and that's kind of increasing that number for you over there. But I would assume that's not the case and that I may have missed something. So I'll go back and look at that. And if that's the case, then he'll get a couple extra points and that will probably bump him up in the film rankings to number 2, or at least tied there. But right now I have him at 3 behind Josh Downs and JSN. I haven't gotten through the entire class. I've gotten through Quentin Johnson as well, and I'm working on Zay Flowers right there. I've gotten through more of the running backs. But finishing off here, he's actually this is so weird to me when I see this, like where these guys can't get off press, but they're good blockers. Like I don't quite understand it, and I don't know if it's more that he can like hold his ground, but he can't push past defenders necessarily, and that's why. But he's like he's an aggressive blocker. He gets into the game and he's trying to do it. Now that doesn't necessarily go into my grading here, but it's something I like to note because it'll keep these guys on the field. Final just kind of summary here. I think he's a route technician who isn't strong physically, right? He's not strong enough to beat press consistently, and he doesn't exhibit elite bursts to push past defenders downfield when route running or footwork doesn't win it for him, right? So his entire game is reliant on route running and footwork, which honestly can win you a lot of matchups.
Big time.
So I like what I see. he's one of the better in this class, but I do think he's going to struggle against some of the NFL DBs who put a lot of pressure physically on you, right? So I don't see him as a number one guy who can like take over. I listen to a lot of Patriots podcasts, a lot of this stuff at 14, Jordan Addison, this, that, and the other. Okay, maybe, but like, and maybe again, maybe he can develop. You can get him a little stronger and he can work against these guys, but I'm not sure he's a number one like guy.
Yeah, just quickly again, his career best yards after contact per attempt is 4th in the class after Ronnie Bell, Hutchinson, and Mims. So yeah, maybe there's something there. Maybe it's more looking at his film sophomore season. I'm not really entirely sure, but
yeah, I'll go look more at Pitt, but I do like to look at the 23 season. This is the guy you're getting.
That was his best season. So was 23.
It was his best season for what, that specific metric you mean?
Yeah, his sophomore year was 3 yards per attempt, and then last year was 4.25. So,
and that was yards after contact, you're saying?
Yeah, per attempt. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of big plays that like really blow it up. I don't know.
I saw a couple like where he does get off contact and score. The one I'm remembering right now, there was nobody else there, and it's like a 30 or 40 yard score. But okay. I'll go back and look at. That's not going to boost it that much. He has to have a good deal of this, I feel like, within the film. So I'm going to go back and watch a couple more games. I'll see if I can bump that up a little bit and see, and I'll report back obviously if that's the case. But that's honestly that, and more the inability to separate from press coverages are the two biggest knocks for him, which is not that bad. The guy looks great.
It makes sense. Just a couple more things real quick. His slot rate to out wide rates pretty close to 60-40. It's like 53-43. So he could play in the slot or has played in the slot in college and out wide in college. So he, it is what it is, right? Just he's not primarily a slot guy or primarily outside wide. And then the last thing I'll talk about is with the actual NFL draft. If you guys aren't aware of this website, it's one that I talk about this time of year called grindingthemocks.com. What they do is to compile a bunch of mock drafts from your Daniel Jeremiah's and those types of folks and some fans and all that. And they compile literally hundreds of mock drafts as time goes on. And they build these charts or these curves, and you could see what they call expected draft position. And it's fairly accurate. They kind of, the whole Malik Willis's of last year kind of screwed things up. But right now they have him at draft position 19.4. So getting mocked to be drafted right around pick 19. I don't see this changing that much. He's going to be a first round wide receiver. So something to keep in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little later than that. One thing I did want to just really quickly say about last week's my film review from last week on Eric Gray. I was saying he might be one of the most elusive in the class, and like I was like struggling with that. Like I feel like since then, just that word. And when I went back and I literally I replaced every time I said elusive about him with lateral quickness. Like I think he has the most lateral quickness in the class, but he's not the most elusive, if that makes sense, right? He's super quick, but it just doesn't always manifest into like yards after contact and actually eluding defenders. So that I did want to kind of correct myself on that. And I went and actually made that adjustment both in the grade and in the notes. So yeah, man, live and you learn.
Mm-hmm. Really quick, just want to let our listeners know, if you receive anything from my Twitter account, please don't click on it. While we were recording, somebody just hacked my Twitter account.
Oh boy.
I just got an email saying your email and your password has been changed. I'm like, nope, that's not right.
Oh boy. All right, we got to check the DU Twitter too, I guess.
Yeah. No, I just did. It's fine. Everything on there is okay.
I wonder how that happened.
Who
right.
Anyways, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dynasty Underdog. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Underdog, at Uriah Dawkins, at Willie Beam DFF, and at Joshua M. Goldberg. Just don't open any messages you might receive from me. Who the hell knows where it will lead you?
But do join our Discord. Our Discord.
Join the Discord. Peace out, everyone.
Later.